Hi, I'm Laureen, interior designer with Sacred-by-Design. This is our third video in the kitchen budget series. Today, we're talking about kitchens under $50,000. In the first video, we talked about percentages of budgets. Last video, we talked about kitchens under $25,000. And so this video, even though it's under 50,000, we're going to kind of try and hit that middle point between 25 and 50,000. Now, in my experience, this is the range that most standard kitchen remodels will fall into. New kitchens, if they're of medium, average to smaller size kitchens. And so just want to keep that in mind. Now, again, going off the percentages we talked about in the first video in this series, and if you have questions about that, please go back and watch it, that your kitchen cabinets are going to run 40 to 50% of your budget. It's not really going to change a whole lot. They're always going to fall into minimums, but in average. So that puts us in the kitchen cabinets right around $20,000 to $25,000. That is a pretty medium-sized kitchen. Maybe you can do some specialty finishes or paint. You get, some accessories in that. That's going to be a pretty okay budget for most standard kitchen sizes. And we're going to talk about countertops. And in this video, I want to include backsplashes. We're not going to talk about the design aesthetics between doing a granite backsplash versus a tile backsplash versus a short backsplash. Mostly we're going to talk about cost. And so your short backsplash that matches your countertop is going to be your most cost-effective way to do that. Tile backsplash is going to be next in the cost. And then if you do what we call a full height solid surface backsplash, and that's where your countertop material is the same on your backsplash and it goes all the way up to the cabinets, that's going to be your most expensive option. And depending on your kitchen, that can get give or take couple of $1,000s or more for a kitchen to do that. So let's say we go with our percentages we talked about. Your countertop budget is going to be give or take 10-15%. In this case, maybe 20% of your kitchen budget in a larger kitchen or medium-sized kitchen. So that now puts your countertops in the $5,000 to $10,000 range. Just pretty average for a solid surface countertop, including the sink, the faucet. We'll include that as part of your countertop and backsplash budget. So let's go with the high end. Say it's $10,000 altogether, all in for countertop, backsplash, sink and faucet. Now we're at $35,000 for your kitchen. And this does not include, right? Because now we still only have 15,000 left, right? So, and we want to leave between right around 10,000 for your contingency. So that $5,000 in between, let's say we're going to try and cram our appliance budget into that $5,000. And you can do that if you're frugal and you pay attention to sales. And your preferences for appliances are pretty standard to average. So now we've got appliances, cabinets, countertops, including your sink and faucet, installed for $40,000. And then you have that 10% contingency left over, which we talked about. You're, 20% at least, 10% if depending on, but within that, now we're talking about, okay, maybe we have some playroom. So we're going to put in some new electrical fixtures. Maybe you need to move a water line for your refrigerator because you're going to relocate an appliance. What I will say is that even though we would like to, major movement of appliances or walls is probably not going to happen within a $50,000 kitchen remodel. Now, can you save some money in some other places? If it's really like you absolutely want to do that, maybe you want to add a door or move a door some small way, maybe you want to make a window bigger. Remember, any exterior objects that you touch, such as windows or exterior doors, if you move them or resize them, that means that you're also affecting outside of your house, and you need to count into that budget for siding and new paint and new trim on the exterior. And again, like I spoke about in the first video, once you touch a wall with paint, it's not just the little spot, it's the whole wall. So keep those things in mind. So within that $10,000 that we have left, we want to talk about painting. We almost always have to paint in a kitchen remodel, and most people want to anyway. Whether or not you have to do the ceiling is up to you, and whether or not you're touching the ceiling. A lot of remodels include taking out what we call soffits, and that's the built down spot from the ceiling to the top of a cabinet that was done a lot in the 60s and 70s, into the 80s, even sometimes in the 90s, what we call a soffit, and that is most often somewhere between 6 and 12 inches, where they've framed it, drywalled it, and put the cabinets up to it. That is a typical place where we do a remodel, where we take that out. So you want to make sure that you're keeping in your budget for that. And if you're trying to keep under that $50,000, we want to adjust some of our expectations around the other items that you're going to put into your kitchen. So because now you're talking about touching wall and a ceiling at the same time, to take out that framing and drywall, you have to do touch up, maybe a little drywall repair. If you're going to try and run the cabinets all the way to the ceiling so that it covers up that space, that's your best, most cost effective, but there's probably still going to be some drywall touch up, and definitely paint on your ceiling and walls. So keep that in mind when you're budgeting in there. If you're, again, in that under $50,000 range, we start to hit those limits of what you can accomplish in that budget, depending on the overall size of your kitchen. Now, granted, if you've got a smaller kitchen, maybe you have a little more play in that $50,000 budget because you're not spending as much on cabinets. The smaller the kitchen, the less your cabinet package, your cabinets installed are going to cost you. So all of those things are to be kept in mind. If I am confusing you, all I can tell you is that every kitchen is unique. Every budget is going to have different priorities. And so you want to work really closely with your designer, your contractor, and your budget way on the front end before you get into the project itself. You really want to dial in all the details you possibly can before you get started, because you will run into surprises. Once you start tearing stuff out and you break into drywall, especially in remodels, you will find surprises that you were not expecting, and you want to make sure that you have that contingency left over to handle those surprises without it breaking out. So if none of the numbers are adding up exactly right, this is why, because everything is fluid all the time, and we want to make sure that you're kind of fluctuating with what your priorities are versus what the actual costs are going to be. So hopefully it was a little bit helpful, and that you get to enjoy planning your new kitchen. This is Laureen with Sacred by Design. Thank you.